What if I told you that the most powerful men in the world weren't born that way? They were forged through a decade of silent transformation that most people never even notice. Between ages 10 and 20, while other boys are desperately seeking validation and following the crowd, future Sigma males are undergoing a metamorphosis that will define their entire existence. This isn't just teenage rebellion or introversion. This is the birth of the ultimate independent male archetype. Welcome to the official Sigma Male channel, where we decode the mysteries of the lone wolf mentality. Today, we're diving deep into the most crucial decade of a Sigma's development, those formative years where legends are born in silence. If you've ever wondered why some men seem to operate on a completely different frequency, why they command respect without demanding it, and why they thrive in solitude while others crumble, this video will reveal everything. But here's what makes this analysis different. We're not just talking theory, we're examining real behavioral patterns, psychological development stages, and the specific traits that emerge during this critical period. By the end of this journey, you'll understand exactly how a true Sigma male is shaped. And more importantly, you'll recognize these patterns in yourself or others around you. If you're ready to unlock the secrets of Sigma development and join a community of men who think differently, hit that subscribe button now, because the insights you're about to discover will change how you view male psychology forever. 1. The awakening phase, ages 10 to 12. The Sigma male's journey begins not with a bang, but with a subtle shift in consciousness that most adults completely miss. Between ages 10 and 12, while other boys are desperately trying to fit into established social groups, the future Sigma experiences what we call the awakening phase, a period where he begins to question everything around him with an intensity that sets him apart forever. Picture this, it's recess at any elementary school. Most 10-year-old boys are either leading the pack in some game, following the leaders, or struggling to find their place in the social hierarchy. But there's always that one kid, the one sitting alone, not because he's rejected, but because he's watching. He's studying the dynamics, understanding the power plays, and making mental notes about human behavior that most adults haven't even recognized yet. This isn't antisocial behavior, it's strategic observation. The young Sigma is developing what psychologists call metacognitive awareness, the ability to think about thinking. While his peers are consumed with immediate social gratification, he's building the foundation of analytical thinking that will serve him for life. During this phase, several key traits begin to emerge. First, there's an unusual comfort with solitude. Most children this age experience separation anxiety or desperately seek peer approval. The developing Sigma, however, discovers that being alone isn't just tolerable, it's productive. He uses solitary time for deep thinking, creative projects, or pursuing interests that others might find weird or too advanced. Second, there's an early rejection of arbitrary authority. This doesn't mean rebellion for rebellion's sake. That's alpha behavior. Instead, the young Sigma begins to question the logic behind rules and expectations. He'll follow reasonable authority that makes sense, but he won't comply just because that's how things are done. Teachers often notice this as a child who asks why more than others, but not in a disruptive way, in a genuinely curious way. Third, we see the emergence of internal validation systems. While other children desperately seek approval from parents, teachers, and peers, the young Sigma begins developing his own internal compass for what's right, wrong, valuable, and worthless. This is perhaps the most crucial development of this phase, the birth of true independence. Real-world example. Consider the 11-year-old who chooses to read advanced books during lunch instead of playing games with classmates. When questioned, he doesn't defensively explain himself or seek approval for his choice. He simply states that he finds the book more interesting than the game. This isn't arrogance, it's authentic preference being expressed without apology. The family dynamics during this phase are particularly interesting. Sigma children often become the observers of family conflicts. They'll watch their parents argue and mentally catalogue what works and what doesn't in human relationships. They're not emotionally detached, they're strategically aware. This early exposure to relationship dynamics, viewed through an analytical lens, becomes the foundation for their later ability to understand and navigate complex social situations without being emotionally manipulated by them. By age 12, the awakening is complete. The young Sigma has established that he operates differently than his peers, and more importantly, he's comfortable with that difference. He's learned that his value doesn't come from external validation, his happiness doesn't depend on group acceptance, and his thinking doesn't need to conform to popular opinion. This phase sets the stage for everything that follows. The confidence to think independently, the comfort with solitude, and the ability to observe and analyze rather than simply react, these become the cornerstones of Sigma development. While other boys are still figuring out where they fit in the social hierarchy, the young Sigma has already transcended the need to fit in anywhere except with himself. 2. The observation years, ages 13 to 15. Ages 13 to 15 represent the most critical phase of Sigma development, the observation years, where a young man transforms from curious observer to strategic analyst. While alpha peers fight for dominance and beta counterparts desperately seek acceptance, the developing Sigma does something far more powerful. He learns to read the game without feeling compelled to play it. This phase coincides with puberty, but here's the fascinating part. While hormones drive most teenagers toward impulsive behavior and emotional volatility, the Sigma channels this energy into heightened awareness and analytical thinking. His biological development synchronizes perfectly with psychological evolution toward independence. The hallmark is social laboratory thinking. The teenage Sigma views social interactions as experiments rather than experiences. He attends parties, joins clubs, participates in activities, not because he desperately wants to belong, but to understand how different social systems work. He's collecting data on human behavior for life. Consider this scenario. At 14, while classmates stress about popularity, the young Sigma is fascinated by popularity's mechanics. He notices popular kids aren't necessarily most talented or intelligent. They're the ones who best understand and manipulate group psychology. Rather than feeling jealous, he files this as valuable intelligence about human nature. The Sigma develops emotional regulation mastery during these years. While other teenagers ride emotional roller coasters, he learns to observe emotions rather than be controlled by them. He doesn't become emotionless, he becomes emotionally intelligent in ways most adults never achieve. Emotions become information, not instructions. Academic performance reveals interesting patterns. Sigmas often excel in subjects requiring independent thinking, while struggling in areas demanding conformity or group collaboration. Perfect scores in advanced mathematics, reluctant participation in group projects. Teachers are puzzled by exceptional abilities with selective engagement. Strategic friendships become refined. The young Sigma doesn't collect friends for status or validation. He forms deep, meaningful connections with individuals offering intellectual stimulation, shared values, or complementary skills. Quality over quantity becomes his friendship philosophy, often resulting in lifelong relationships built on mutual respect. Dating dynamics reveal crucial development aspects. While alphas compete for popular girls and betas desperately hope to be chosen, the young Sigma is either completely uninterested in teenage dating drama or selectively attracted to individuals sharing his depth and independence. He's not trying to impress anyone or prove worth through romantic conquest. Most importantly, this is when the Sigma begins developing his life strategy. D While other teenagers live day-to-day or follow prescribed paths, the observational Sigma envisions his unique trajectory. He's not just thinking about college or career, he's contemplating what kind of life to build and what kind of man to become. The relationship with authority becomes strategic evaluation rather than automatic respect or rebellion. Teachers, parents, coaches are assessed based on competence, fairness, and logical consistency rather than position or title. This challenges adults expecting automatic deference, but develops healthy authority recognition skills. By age 15, the observation phase reaches culmination. The young Sigma has developed almost supernatural ability to read people, situations, and systems. He understands group dynamics better than psychology professors, predicts social outcomes with remarkable accuracy, and built an internal framework for navigating the world that's entirely his creation. The transition from observer to actor begins, but it will be calculated, purposeful, and completely on his terms. These observation years provide the intelligence foundation for everything that follows. 3. The independent surge, ages 16 to 17. The moment a Sigma male turns 16, something profound shifts in his psychological architecture. This is what we call the independent surge. A 2-year period where everything he's observed and analyzed during his earlier years suddenly crystallizes into decisive action. This isn't teenage rebellion, which is emotional and often self-destructive. This is strategic autonomy, and it's absolutely fascinating to witness. At 16 and 17, while alpha males are establishing their dominance through sports, leadership positions, or social influence, and beta males are finding their place within established hierarchies, the Sigma is doing something entirely different. He's building his own parallel reality. He's not rejecting society. He's creating a customized version of it that aligns with his values and goals. The most obvious manifestation of this surge is in decision-making patterns. The teenage Sigma stops asking permission for choices that he believes he's capable of making himself. This doesn't mean he becomes disrespectful or reckless. Instead, he begins to operate from a position of informed autonomy. He'll research colleges based on his own criteria rather than prestige or parental expectations. He'll choose extracurricular activities based on personal interest and skill development rather than what looks good on applications. Here's a perfect example. A 17-year-old Sigma decides he wants to learn programming. Instead of taking the computer science class at school, which moves too slowly and focuses on group projects, he teaches himself multiple programming languages, builds several applications, and starts freelancing. When guidance counselors express concern about his unconventional approach, he presents them with his portfolio and income statements. He's not being rebellious, he's being efficient. The relationship with authority figures during this phase becomes particularly interesting. The Sigma doesn't automatically respect or disrespect authority. He evaluates it. Teachers, parents, coaches, and other adults are assessed based on competence, fairness, and logical consistency rather than position or title. This can be challenging for adults who expect automatic deference, but it's incredibly healthy for the Sigma's development. He's learning to recognize legitimate authority while refusing to be manipulated by those who abuse their positions. Financial independence becomes a major focus during this phase. While other teenagers are asking parents for money or working part-time jobs just for spending cash, the Sigma is often developing multiple income streams and learning about investments, entrepreneurship, or skill monetization. He understands intuitively that financial independence is the foundation of all other forms of independence. The social dynamics become even more refined during these years. The Sigma has now mastered what we call selective engagement. He can be socially adept when he chooses to be, but he no longer feels obligated to maintain relationships or participate in activities that don't serve his interests or values. This might look antisocial to casual observers, but it's actually highly sophisticated social intelligence. He's learned to invest his energy where it generates the highest return. Dating and relationships during this phase reveal the full complexity of Sigma sexuality and emotional intelligence. The Sigma male at 16 to 17 is often incredibly attractive to potential partners, not because he's actively pursuing them, but because his independence and self-assurance are naturally compelling. However, he's also highly selective and won't compromise his values or goals for romantic validation. He's capable of deep emotional connections, but only with individuals who match his level of authenticity and self-development. One of the most crucial developments during this surge is the emergence of what we call mission clarity. By age 17, most Sigmas have identified their primary areas of interest and begun developing expertise in those domains. This isn't just career planning, it's life architecture. They're building competencies, networks, and resources around their chosen fields with a level of strategic thinking that most adults never achieve. The physical aspects of this phase shouldn't be overlooked. Many Sigmas begin serious fitness regimens, not for social validation or competitive purposes, but because they understand that physical strength and health are foundations for mental clarity and longevity. They approach fitness like they approach everything else, strategically, consistently, and with minimal need for external motivation. By the end of age 17, the independent surge has fundamentally transformed the young Sigma. He's no longer just observing and analyzing, he's actively creating the life he wants to live. He has developed systems for decision-making, resource management, relationship maintenance, and personal development that most people never master. He's not trying to fit into the world as it exists. He's building his own world within the larger framework of society. The stage is now set for the final phases of development, where all of this independence and strategic thinking will coalesce into true mastery and unshakable identity. 4. The mastery pursuit. Ages 18 to 19. At 18 and 19, the Sigma enters what we call the mastery pursuit, a focused drive toward excellence that separates him from every other male archetype. While his peers are partying or stressing about traditional milestones, the young adult Sigma is obsessively developing competence in his chosen domain. This phase is characterized by obsessive competence development. The Sigma doesn't just want to be good, he wants to be undeniably excellent. But unlike other high achievers, he's not pursuing mastery for recognition or competition. He pursues it because excellence is freedom and competence is power. Consider this example. An 18-year-old Sigma becomes fascinated with digital marketing. While classmates struggle with basic coursework, he spends 14 hours daily studying consumer psychology, data analytics, and conversion optimization. Within 12 months, he's consulting for businesses and generating six-figure income. When asked how he learned so fast, he simply says, "I eliminated everything that didn't contribute to this goal." The approach to formal education becomes strategic. Many Sigmas either dominate college by treating it as resource extraction or abandon it entirely for real-world learning. They're not anti-intellectual, they're hyper-intellectual, which means they quickly distinguish between valuable learning and institutional time wasting. The work ethic is legendary but sustainable. The Sigma works longer hours than peers, but doesn't experience it as traditional work. He's found the intersection of aptitude, interest, and opportunity, and he's mining it relentlessly. Relationships become even more selective. The mastery-focused Sigma has little energy for casual connections or social drama. He maintains only relationships that enhance his journey or provide genuine mutual value. This selectivity, paradoxically, makes him more attractive because his standards are authentic, not performative. Romantic dynamics are fascinating. The 18-19 Sigma combines youthful vigor with uncommon focus and competence, traits most men don't develop until their 30s. However, he's completely unwilling to compromise his trajectory for relationship convenience. He'll find a partner who enhances his journey or remains single without anxiety. Financial acceleration often occurs naturally. While peers accumulate debt or work entry-level jobs, the mastery-focused Sigma generates significant income from specialized knowledge. Money isn't his primary motivation, competence and freedom are, but financial success follows strategic skill development. The most impressive development is systematic learning ability. The Sigma learns how to learn efficiently. He can enter any field and rapidly achieve competence by identifying key principles, finding optimal resources, and eliminating inefficiencies. This meta-skill becomes invaluable throughout life. Psychological resilience reaches new heights. The Sigma handles failure, criticism, and setbacks without emotional volatility. He understands mastery requires iteration and persistence. He develops anti-fragility, actually growing stronger from challenges. By 19, the Sigma has typically achieved competence levels that equal professionals with years of experience. More importantly, he's developed systems, habits, and mindset for continuous growth. He's not just skilled, he's become someone who creates skill and generates opportunities. 5. The identity crystallization, age 20. Age 20 represents the culmination point, the identity crystallization, where 10 years of strategic development solidifies into unshakable self-knowledge. The young Sigma doesn't wonder who he is anymore. He knows exactly who he is, what he values, and how he operates. This level of self-awareness is something most people never achieve at any age. This crystallization isn't sudden. It's the natural result of consistent self-development and authentic living. By 20, the Sigma has accumulated enough experience, developed sufficient competence, and maintained enough consistency that his identity becomes solid and internally validated. The most striking aspect is complete absence of identity anxiety. While peers desperately try figuring out who they are or how they fit in, the 20-year-old Sigma experiences identity certainty. He's not arrogant, he's secure in self-knowledge. He knows his strengths, weaknesses, interests, values, and boundaries. This becomes the foundation for every future decision. External validation becomes irrelevant. The crystallized Sigma doesn't need approval or recognition to feel good about himself. He's developed internal locus of control, believing life outcomes are determined by his actions, not circumstances or others' opinions. This makes him immune to manipulation and peer pressure. Career decisions are made with remarkable clarity. The 20-year-old Sigma doesn't choose paths based on expectations, social values, or apparent safety. He chooses based on alignment with interests, values, and long-term vision. This might mean entrepreneurship, unconventional careers, or creating entirely new opportunities. Social dynamics reach peak refinement. The Sigma masters authentic social interaction, engaging with anyone genuinely while maintaining selectivity about ongoing relationships. His social circle is small but extremely high quality, composed of individuals who share values, challenge thinking, or complement abilities. Romantic relationships often represent his first serious partnerships, characterized by interdependence rather than codependence. The crystallized Sigma brings complete self-sufficiency to romantic connections, making him more attractive and reliable. He's not seeking completion or validation. He's seeking enhancement of an already complete life. Leadership style emerges as uniquely Sigma, leading through competence and example rather than authority and charisma. His approach is consultative rather than dominating, strategic rather than reactive, results-focused rather than recognition-seeking. Life systems mastery fully develops. The 20-year-old Sigma has efficient systems for managing health, finances, relationships, learning, and productivity. These aren't rigid routines, but adaptive frameworks maximizing effectiveness while minimizing wasted energy. Perhaps most importantly, unshakable confidence in his ability to handle whatever life presents develops. This isn't based on bravado, but on a decade of evidence that his approach works. He's proven repeatedly that he can observe, analyze, adapt, and overcome. The crystallization doesn't mean he stops growing. It means he has a solid foundation for continued evolution. He knows core principles remain stable while knowledge, skills, and circumstances develop. This combination of stability and adaptability becomes his adult personality hallmark. 6. The behavioral patterns that define the journey. Understanding the consistent behavioral patterns from ages 10-20 reveals what truly separates authentic Sigmas from other male archetypes. These patterns aren't just observations. They're the core DNA of Sigma development. Strategic solitude preference remains constant throughout development. From age 10 onwards, the Sigma chooses alone time as productive necessity, not social escape. While others view solitude as punishment, he experiences it as opportunity and mental restoration. Hierarchical transcendence appears at every age. The Sigma understands power structures but operates outside them rather than climbing within them. He recognizes the game without feeling compelled to play it, refusing to define worth through relative positioning. Competence-driven motivation fuels everything, whether mastering video games at 11 or building businesses at 19. The driving force is always intrinsic satisfaction of developing excellence. This internal motivation creates remarkable resilience and consistent productivity. Selective authenticity develops early and sophisticates over time. The Sigma remains genuinely himself, but strategically controls revelation levels with different people. This isn't deception, it's understanding that authentic self-expression shouldn't be wasted on those who can't appreciate it. Systematic thinking strengthens continuously. The Sigma approaches problems through logical analysis rather than emotional reaction or social conformity. Whether choosing friends at 13 or careers at 19, he consistently uses analytical frameworks. Resource optimization manifests across all ages. The Sigma maximizes output while minimizing input through sophisticated understanding of leverage and efficiency. He gravitates naturally toward high-impact activities and strategies. Emotional regulation mastery develops progressively from early adolescence. The Sigma shows increasing ability to observe emotions rather than be controlled by them, processing feelings through analytical thinking rather than reactive behavior. Long-term orientation most clearly distinguishes Sigma development. While alphas focus on immediate dominance and betas seek immediate acceptance, the Sigma consistently makes decisions based on long-term outcomes rather than short-term gratification. Quality over quantity philosophy appears in every life area. Whether friendships, activities, interests, or goals, he chooses depth over breadth, creating foundations for expertise, meaningful relationships, and sustainable choices. Adaptive independence represents the ultimate pattern. The Sigma demonstrates increasing self-reliance without inflexibility, working alone or with others, leading or following based on situational requirements rather than ego needs. These patterns reinforce each other, creating an integrated personality system that's remarkably resilient and effective. By age 20, they've produced someone operating on a completely different frequency, following behavioral programming optimized for authentic success rather than social validation. This is what makes the Sigma journey so powerful. It's not random development, it's systematic evolution toward ultimate personal effectiveness. The journey from age 10 to 20 for a Sigma male is nothing short of extraordinary. It's a decade where silence becomes strength, where observation transforms into wisdom, and where independence evolves into unshakable self-reliance. While their alpha counterparts are busy building social hierarchies and beta males are learning to follow, sigmas are quietly constructing something far more powerful, an unbreakable inner fortress of self-knowledge and autonomous thinking. What we've explored today isn't just developmental psychology, it's the blueprint of how true leaders are born. Not leaders who need followers to validate their worth, but leaders who lead by example, who influence through competence, and who change the world not through loud declarations, but through consistent, purposeful action. Remember, recognizing these patterns in your own development doesn't make you better than others. It makes you different. And in a world that increasingly values conformity over authenticity, being different isn't just an advantage, it's a necessity. The Sigma male's teenage years are his crucible. They forge the mental toughness, emotional intelligence, and strategic thinking that will serve him throughout his entire life. While others peak in high school or college, the Sigma is just beginning his ascent. If this resonates with your own journey or helps you understand the Sigma males in your life, this channel is your home. We're building a community of men who understand that true strength comes from within, that real power doesn't need to be announced, and that the greatest victories are often the quietest ones. Subscribe now and join thousands of men who are redefining what it means to be successful, influential, and genuinely powerful in the modern world. Your Sigma journey starts here.